I met a gypsy.
Did you have other stuff that you were into away from moto that could have like kind of completely taken you away?
Yeah, for sure. And honestly, I was over it. I think when I was like 14, like right, would have been like pretty close to when he went pro, maybe 13. I kept getting hurt. Like I kept breaking my wrist, and it was like, to me, what you're saying about Jet, like I relate to that so much. Like when I wasn't on the bike, it was kind of like whatever. Like it wasn't my everything. And to Tom, you could see that focus in him. He knew that was what he was going to do from a young age. You could see it in his eyes. You could tell in his demeanor that that's what he was going to get out, and he knew that. And this was his path. And for me, it was kind of like, yeah, it's fun. And I mainly was, honestly, I started doing it because he was doing it. It wasn't because I had a passion for it. I just wanted to do what he did. Like, well, he's riding, I want to ride. And so with that said, it was crazy because for a long time, I really didn't take it seriously. Like he trained until I was 14, 15, 16. I didn't train. I mean, I rode and did all this stuff, but it wasn't anything serious. And then I remember coming out to California and visiting him after he signed with Geico. And I was kind of over it, and I was just, working on bikes, and I didn't mind being a mechanic even. Like I really enjoyed working on my bike, and talking to him, and he's like, dude, you got to give it one shot. Like just one all in and see what happens. And I was like, kind of on the fence. He's like, just one time. He had hired a trainer at that point. He's like, you're going to work with her. You can do the same stuff. Like, we're going to go all in. You need to see if this is really what you're going to do. Because legitimately at that point, like I said, I trained around a little bit. I'd go on a jog here and there, bike ride here and there, but it wasn't nothing complete enough to ever help me, right? Like, I probably thought I was doing a little bit, and it was whatever. But until he had that discussion with me, like, I didn't really take it that seriously. Like, yeah, I wanted to, but then, like I said, the injuries came, and I was kind of like, maybe I'll skateboard, and then quickly found out that wasn't going to work. But
yeah, I cannot see you being a skateboarder, bro.
No, zero coordination. I'm lucky that I can stand on a bike as long as I did. So, yeah, none, dude. Absolutely none. So, with that said, we had that conversation, and I never looked back. He was right. I went all in, and I don't know, whatever he told me that day, it clicked, and I said, you know what, I am going to do this. And I remember having the discussion with him, like, that if I go all in, and no matter what the outcome of this is, whether I win or top fives or whatever it is, if I do it wholeheartedly, I won't ever have a regret, and I don't.
And let's completely fast forward to like even the end of your career. So let's just like skip over all the racing for a second. You're retired and you still train like a motherfucker. So at some point it became like a legitimate passion, and to the point where like now you stop racing professionally where it's required to train, and you still train like crazy. So how did that switch develop in your mind?
That's a good question to pinpoint exactly. I mean, probably at that point when he asked me to go all in is, I would say, the start of it. And then, until I got into it and I felt the benefits, I seen the benefits, and then I felt like a better self too. And throughout the racing, I felt the benefits, and then I got hurt. I can't remember when, maybe 2011, I'd broken my back, and then I got really into cycling because that's really all I could do. It was low impact. Didn't have to worry about, like, obviously if I crashed my bike, yeah, I'd probably be hurt, but it was one of those things where, I can't lock myself inside all day. And then it just became a passion, like, how many miles can I do this week? Well, let's double it next week, or okay, I'm going to do 100 by myself in the middle of July in Texas, and whatever, figure it out. And it ended up being 60 miles of dirt road. And I think what you can dig mentally and find yourself, like, it's honestly what really gets me going on this stuff is where you can find yourself, how deep you can go. Like, how many times did I quit when I was growing up on something because it got hard, right? When I didn't think I had anything left to give. Well, you find out pretty quickly who you are as a human when you're by yourself on these roads and there's no food, there's no water, it's too hot. And any other time in your life, you would have just said, if there would have been a car right there, I would have got in it and left. But you can always find that next 5% that's left of you when you think it's time to give up. Like, I love that, dude. Like, finding that suffer and something about that. And I mean, we're all crazy to an extent, but I love suffering, dude. Like, I want to hurt. I want to feel that pain. Like, especially now that I'm not racing, like, I need that adrenaline. I need to push myself to that point. of being so tired, or like I don't know if I can do another lap. But I feel like I still chase that a bit. I don't want to race. I don't need that so much or anything like that. But I do enjoy the suffering and then find yourself a little bit better, or checking off a checklist. Like for instance, I wanted to do a marathon, and it didn't matter, like not a race or anything. I just wanted to say, hey, I'm going to run 26 miles. I remember it was COVID last year when it started. We really weren't working, so I was like, I made a route, and I'm like, at that point I had ran 13, but nothing over that ever. And I'm like, I'm just going to go make it happen. Like woke up, had some breakfast, took off and ran to Temecula from Lake Elsinore, and ended up having one of my old buddies, actually my old mechanic, pick me up. I said, hey, I'm at Starbucks, like come grab me, I'm getting a water. You drive me home. Yeah, no problem.
If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search Gypsy Tales in your favorite podcast platform or click the link in the description below. Gypsy Gang.